Hello parents. I am Mr. Rogers and I'll be your son or daughter's science teacher this year for 7th grade science or 8th grade science. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Sorry I cannot be there in person. I am back to school myself right now, earning a master's degree. So that is where I am at. So again, thank you guys for coming out. Just want to talk about a few quick things to kind of start the year. So if you've had me in science before, some things are staying the same, some things are changing. Change is the only constant, it seems like. So some things that have changed are grading. So I will still have standard grades this year. A, B, C, D. That grading scale stays the same. What has changed is kind of what we're grading and how we're grading it. So homework, typical daily work, will no longer be graded in the grade book. It will count as a percentage in the grade book. So you can see there on the screen, it counts for 0%. It still is going to be recorded as homework. My expectation of the child has not changed. I expect them to do it on time when it's asked to be done as part of the learning process. And if they don't, I'm still going to utilize the blue swipe policy. So if they don't do it in their agenda, I will put that highlighter over that assignment, meaning it needs to be done the next day. If they can't do that in a day, then we'll find some time during study hall or independent study or gym time. If that doesn't work, then maybe after school. So my expectation has not changed in terms of what they do. It's just no longer part of that grade. So quizzes are 20%, and you can see their projects are 80%. And that's really where this is going, that we're building toward that assessment at the end of the unit to really gauge what the student has learned. So another new item are the science standards have changed. So they're called the Next Generation Science Standards. And what the shift really is, there's a handout that Mrs. Kurska is giving you also on those. And all this information you're getting right now is on the back of the handout that you're getting. Is much more or less on the content is still part of the big idea, but there's kind of three major strands we look at. So obviously there's content, but that content is tied to these science and engineering practices and also these cross-cutting concepts. So these engineering practices are more what scientists are doing, their skills. So they can ask questions, they can develop and use models, they can plan and carry out investigations. So things we've been doing in class, there's some tweaking in terms of making sure we have all these skills being used in class, but we kind of use these skills to learn the content. And also these cross-cutting concepts then are things we see throughout science. So we can find patterns in any different variation of science that cause and effect. Structure and function is very big when it gets into biology. So these are the ideas we see no matter what idea, what branch of science you're studying, we can kind of pull in these ideas, kind of find their way into all these conversations. So, the content, the practices, and the concepts all kind of tie together what those standards are supposed to look like. So more and more we're going to kind of drive toward making these new standards part of class. You'll see them around the room, the practices and concepts around the room. By and large, like the content hasn't changed from year to year, but incorporating more of these skills is more the bigger focus. So as things change, you'll notice these being used and referenced a lot more around the room throughout the year. One thing I do want to note, in previous years I've done something called the flipped classroom, where maybe part of their homework assignment was to watch a video, like a pre-recorded lecture like this, of some content, of maybe just some notes or some kind of key ideas. Typically those videos are 5-7 minutes long at the most, and they might watch them and take a few notes or draw a few diagrams from the notes. That will still go on, maybe not as much in the past, but that is still an expectation where the lecture part is taken out of the classroom and it's more as needed on the side at home or during a study hall, but it's kind of taken out of me just standing up and lecturing to the students all the time. So where all their information is going to go is in a composition notebook. This is 8th grade. I duct taped it bright orange. So we'll be pasting of our assignments in there. Our labs and our thoughts on labs will go in here too. So it's very important this comes to school every day. It comes to classroom every day. Because this is kind of a record of what they've been doing. This will be where notes are. If they're looking back to study for a test, this is where the information is probably going to be, is in this notebook. We are going to have books this year that we've been using for a long time, but those are much more now a last resort, that last reference they're going to use. So that notebook is very important to bring every day, and we're going to use that every single day of class. So, I have a web page. It's on the school website if you go through there. My email is also on the school web page also. So those are good ways to find the homework for the week is on that web page. My link to my YouTube channel that has all these videos we were talking about They're all linked to that website that's on the school website. So biggest thing for me, guys, if you have questions, please feel free to ask me through email or call me. Again, my number and email are on the handout that Mrs. Kurska will be handing to you. So with that being said, I thank you guys for taking the time to come tonight. I look forward to working with you and your students throughout the year. Thank you. Have a good night.